Aloha, alafia, and welcome everybody to your new moon in Libra reading. The new moon in Libra happens on October 6th at 1:05 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time, so make sure you do the math for your time zone. Super excited to be here for this new moon. This is the spread that came out for this new moon, not absolutely what I had started or intended going into it. However, spirit guides, and this is what came out. So we actually have a lot of personal planets showing up in this new moon, and then Papa Pluto at the very end stationing direct at the time of this new moon as well. So how the reading is looking and how it's coming out is we've got Mercury in retrograde right now in Libra. So Mercury's in a very loose conjunction with this new moon. So we've got a card for him. Mars is in a conjunction with this new moon, so the moon and the sun, and he is bringing that action. He is bringing the force. He's bringing all of the things that the movement forward that we've been waiting for. October in general in the energy is an incredibly fortuitous month for what comes next and for already beginning that action into, all right, let's drive towards these long-term visions. Let's drive towards these goals. There's a lot of direction forward this month. We also have Venus is the ruler of the moon. However, Venus is in Scorpio, so she is also being ruled by Mars and Pluto. But we have the seventh house of partnerships here showing up. And then we have Venus herself, which at 13 degrees, Venus's number. So she's showing up in many, many ways for this, and also it being her sign. We have Libra coming in to bring us harmony and balance, and then Pluto to help us with our transformations. So let's go ahead and get started. Overall, ruling this entire reading is the messenger of water. The messenger of water, this actually was at the bottom of the deck. It was definitely very clear, pull that out, that this is the card that rules the reading, and there's a really beautiful purpose why. In the Good Tarot, this card represents love. It is a card all about love, all about the messages of love, all about the way that unconditional love shows up in our lives, how we give that love to others, how that love is given to us. And that is a beautiful message right now for Libra season, for this new moon in Libra. Libra is all about how we interact with others, and love is here to rule. So, couple of messages that came out with this one is remember to take whatever resonates with you and leave the rest. Know that all messages that come to you, if they trigger you in some way, know that it is out of love that is occurring. Know that things happen for you and not to you, and allow all of this, no matter what message comes through, no matter how you interpolate that message, just know that it all comes from a place of extreme and unconditional love. So the first grouping that we have is for Mercury, which is currently in retrograde in the sign of Libra. And Mercury retrograde is all about the re's in life, right? This is reinvention when it's in the sign of Libra. That's thinking through communication. How do we rethink the words that we say? How do we react? How do we respond to certain things, especially as it comes to our relationships with others? So the question that we have here is, where should we remain objective in our intentions? So new moon is all about intentions. And we are looking at where we should remain objective as we start to lay out those intentions. Where might we need to rework things? Where might we need to reinvent things? And the grouping that came out is the Hermit as the ruling major arcana energy. And then we also have the Nine of Air and the Messenger of Air that came out as well. So let's start with the Hermit. This is the White Witch Tarot. All links to the decks will be down below in the description box. The Hermit and the White Witch Tarot, it's its wording that is associated with it is individuation. The Hermit is all about internal. It's all about the deep inside knowledge, the closing in and understanding kind of what you need to recalibrate within yourself during this time. So with the question being, where should we remain objective in our intentions? We're going to be looking at that objectivity, and why not with Mercury retrograde? We're going to be looking at that objectivity to come from inside, our internal dialogue, our internal communication. And that shows up incredibly clear here with air. So air shows up. Mercury is, leads the air signs, Libra being an air sign. So we have the 9 of air and the messenger of air. 9 of air, I'm going to start with, calls for faith. It calls for this internal dialogue of self about where your faith resides. How do you know that you're okay? How do you know that you have the will to go on? What type of internal dialogue do you tell yourself about what you have the ability to achieve, what your self-worth is? Where's the self-talk at? So when it comes to what we need to remain objective to during this time, especially as we set our intentions to really bring forth and create movement on our next vision, you have to monitor that self-talk. And that also comes up with the messenger of air. What stories have you always told yourself? What self-talk, what subconscious patterns, what understandings have you just always assumed that prescribed to might be the better terminology there. What have you been prescribing to that no longer serves your narrative anymore? And as we look to, setting these new intentions, you don't want the storyline of that's not for me, I can't achieve that, I've never been able to do that in the past, I've started a business before, it didn't work out for me, it was too challenging, it was too hard, whatever that looks like. I've been down this road before. Know that you always have an opportunity to change. Know that where you are today is not where you were back then when that situation might have occurred for you. One of my biggest understandings that I came away with this year was it's never a no, it's a not now. And that's really what this grouping is talking about as we look to remain objective, to set our intentions. Know that you've never been told no by the universe. You've just been told not now. That wasn't in alignment for who you used to be. It could be in alignment for who you are today. So really, when you set those intentions, think about that. Make sure this self-talk just stays where it is. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel, man, I don't know if this is right for me. I am going out on a leap of faith. All of those feelings are valid, but don't let it stop your forward progress. The next grouping is led by Mars. So Mars is our action. It's that masculine energy of forward movement, of let's get things done, let's build, let's work. You've had the vision. That, feminine creativity has had the vision, birthed the process. Now it's time to actually begin to work on that process. So Mars is here, but Mars is also can be a little challenging at times, or challenged at times. He can show up as, from a shadow perspective, as anger, frustration, kind of those constrictions. They can show up as our triggers. So with Mars in such a tight conjunction right now, when we look forward, the question here is, where could we be triggered as we start to set these intentions, as we start to take action? What should we be watching out for with our triggers? And the major arcana, that came out was the Chariot. And then that was followed by the 3 of fire, as well as the 2 of air. So we'll start with the Chariot. The word that is used with this one is determination. In traditional tarot, the Chariot is fast moving, and that's the initial feeling that I thought about was, you know, sometimes when things go too fast, we could be triggered by, oh my gosh, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. That could be a big trigger where it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So I'm just going to leave everything. I'm just going to stop everything. Obviously this isn't working, right? Obviously this is way over my head. I can't stop. Back to that kind of self-talk, which we need to be navigating during this time, because things are going to happen fast. That is the energy of October. It is fast moving. November doesn't get any slower. Mercury takes off in a huge speed race over the course of November. So there's a lot coming forward that is going to happen very quickly, and that can trigger you. So watch out for that. And how that can kind of show up is within this 3 of Fire and this 2 of Air. So 3 of Fire talks about achievement. It talks about massive expansion. It, you know, you see like this, this ship is just being kind of floated right along into the air, and it's got that direction forward. It knows exactly where it's going, and it's heading into this vast expanse, this vast unknown. That can also be triggering. That can be a leap of faith, which the Fool does show up in when we talk through transformation. It's this leap of faith into this vast unknown that can trigger a lot of these old stories. So again, it goes back to, what is your self-talk? What do you need to remain open to unlearning and rethinking and reinventing about yourself as you start to move forward? So one other thing that is coming through is, you know, if you've been doing a lot of this work and you're like, hey, I've done a lot of this work, I think I've worked through these triggers, the universe is going to show up to say, hey, you said you worked through these triggers, so let's give you what you want and let's see if you really have. And this could be a moment where this could be, oh, okay, you could be triggered by all of the options that are available to you. And you're like, man, I've never had so many options here. Am I going to replay a story from my past of the last time I got too many options, or have I grown through that? I know now this is a trigger for me, or it's starting to show up as a pattern of a trigger. So I'm going to pause and I am going to assess. I'm going to, which you'll see coming forward, I'm going to go with my transformation. I'm going to go internal, and I'm going to do these spiritual practices that I've incorporated for myself, and these habits that I've brought in, and these routines that I've brought in, that is making me a more balanced and happy person. Because the other thing with the 2 of Air, as you start to talk through triggers, could be a little bit of analysis paralysis too. And if that is something that, you know, you get all these options and your immediate reaction is to just go and freeze and go, whoa. Okay, well, I'm just going to beat each one of these down until they're a pile of crumble, and I'm never going to choose until everything is exactly perfect with a bow on it. That's an old story that you may need to be looked at for reinvention. That may need to be looked at for recalibration, because there's no such thing as perfect. There is a fool's journey within each new endeavor that we take. And that journey does take a leap of faith, which does show up throughout this reading. Next grouping is, what do we need to pause and reflect on in our relationship? So whatever that is, if you're in a current romantic relationship, this could be platonic relationships, families, whatever is coming up for you. Just know that that's the right message coming through. We do have Libra being the 7th house of partnerships, ruling partnerships. So that energy is very clear here. And the grouping that this comes with, the major arcana card is the Magician, followed by the 5 of Earth, and then the 9 of Water. So 2 very clear messages here, which is beautiful because everybody's in a little bit of a different journey as it comes to relationships and what this might mean for them. Overall, though, the word that's associated with the Magician is magnetism. The Magician is also alchemy. It's you being able to create and manifest everything that you want in your life by pulling down from the 5D, this creative space that you start to do things in, and then bringing that into reality in the physical. And the two different paths we'll start with the 5 of Earth first. So this is for those that might be wondering about a relationship, wondering, maybe you are in a relationship, but you're not really sure about it, or it hasn't really been solidified, declared, or you're coming to a turning point with a friendship or a turning point with a work relationship, etc. So the 5 of Earth talks about illusions. It talks about there could be a potential illusion that you need to work through and you need to pause and reflect on. Has this person been ultimately have these red flags shown up of illusion, of not being truthful, not leading with integrity? How have they showed up for you? Are you putting more into this relationship than they are? So that can be one message with the 5 of Earth. The other message is to pause and reflect if you are overlooking on the treasures that you currently have. So the image and the kind of story that gets brought up is you've got these two choices, right? You've got a relationship and you've got, relationship A and relationship B, and you're wondering between the two. And then all of a sudden you remember that there's been this person out in this sphere, out in this ether's other world, that has consistently showed up for you, that has consistently been somebody in your corner, has supported you, has gone through your dark hours. They're the person that you call when nobody else is left. That could also be something to pause and reflect on, right? It goes back to what truly are you intending? What type of relationship do you want to cultivate? And are you the person that is part of that relationship? Are you already exhibiting the things in a relationship that you want from it? The other piece is the 9 of Water, which talks about dreams coming true. This is, even just look, does she not just look like smitten, right? This is manifesting. This is all wish fulfillment. So what maybe in this card, if you are in a current relationship, or if you do have, you're like, hey, I am so good and solid where I'm at. Let's say it's not a romantic relationship, but you're thriving. If you are in a relationship, you're thriving in that relationship. Regardless of either way, it might be time to pause and reflect on, and just give gratitude and thanks for that. Give gratitude and thanks that you are where you are right now, because the relationships that you have brought into your life, you've done the work for. You have become the person that has the ability to bring those relationships into your life. You've done your healing, you've done inner work, whatever that looks like for you. So this can be a card of that kind of celebration and acknowledgement of where you're at, and know and acknowledge the fact that you've manifested that. Because as you look towards the future and manifesting more, how you got this is how you can get other things, and how you can continue to grow and develop. But gratitude is at the heart of that, and gratitude for all that you have and all that you're going to be having. So that could be a nice time to pause and reflect, and maybe even just, call somebody and say, hey, I'm really grateful for you, and I'm really thankful that you are in my life. The next grouping is ruled by Venus, the ruler of Libra. And Venus is all about the beauty, the love, the richness. She rules money, she rules relationships, these finer things in life. Venus is a very powerful feminine energy, and right now she is tearing it up in Scorpio. Let's just leave that where it is. She is tearing up Scorpio right now, which I love that energy. So the question with Venus here is, how can we create more beauty in our life? So how can we generate more beauty? And the grouping that came with it was the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Two of Water, followed by the Eight of Water. So lots of emotions, water coming in. There's a lot of emotions here, which is great because that's very Venus-y energy. We'll start with the Wheel of Fortune first. And I'm actually going to have to read this word because I had to look it up. I didn't know what this word meant. The word that came with this is recapitulation. Hope I'm saying that right. You can Google me or Google search that. We did definitely had to look up the meaning. And it makes sense with the wheel here because the wheel is all about that turning of the cycle, right? And what recapitulation means is you're kind of like rehashing all of the main points of something. Like a lawyer rehashes all of the main points of his argument or her argument. So with that being here, and how can we create more beauty? This is a great opportunity. Again, we've got that Mercury in retrograde. Reflect, go inwards. And I know Venus is getting ready in November, I believe, to start her shadow phase and going retrograde, which she will spend an abundance of time in Capricorn, which is going to be really, really amazing energy to work with. So it might be a moment to kind of take time back and sit back and go, okay, where have I really felt beautiful, liked things? I used to do this. Maybe it's time to relook at that. Or, hey, I saw that on somebody that was walking by the street, this really great colored orange hat. And man, I never thought orange was my color, but I liked it, so let me try it. Because what we have for the other two cards within the Two of Water and the Eight of Water, especially with this Eight of Water, this is all about discovering new ways of beauty for yourself. This is all about discovering, kind of going beyond that comfort zone, going beyond the superficial, going beyond going back to the first question with the stories that we tell ourselves. I can tell you, I'm wearing orange right now. I've got yellow. I have now a pair of yellow shorts. There was a time in my life where absolutely part of my story was I am too pale to wear yellow. It drowns me out. I don't look good in yellow and orange. Well, that's farce, right? That is no longer my story. That's no longer my truth. Back then it was. But the great thing about life is I get to rewrite that story, and now I get to enjoy these really stunning and amazing colors. It can be something as simple as that. Going to the Two of Water, when we think through like where we can get more beauty in our environment, this could be a lot about balance and harmony within our relationship. So you've got two here, which is all about the balance. Again, it's Libra season. Venus rules Libra. Balance is at an all-time high. Equilibrium is at an all-time like focal point right now with the sun in Libra. And this is, find a way to bring out the best in yourself and how others bring out the best in you, how you bring out the best in others. And that can be from a one-on-one relationship, that can be from a group relationship, or even a collective relationship. Like, are you the change that you wish to see in the world? That's really what this Two of Water is. So when we talk about how can we create a better environment around us that is drenched in this beauty of Venus, start with self, be that change. Think about your stories that you've told yourself. Think about what you see other people. If you are watching other people go by and go, man, that's cool, then channel in this Eight of Water energy and take that leap. Rewrite that story, try it out. Worst thing that happens is you try it and you go, yep, that ain't for me. Now you know. Great. But the best thing that can happen is you have a full brand new experience now to go off of. And now you've had an adventure, you've had a new learning, you've grown in some way. And that's really what Venus is all about. And that's what, that's what that feminine energy, that trusting in the signs and synchronicities that you are getting and trusting in the messages that you're seeing can help guide you to what might be next to really hone in on your environment, create that harmony, create that beauty. Now we have Libra here, I balance. It's the new moon. It is the sign of the times. Love me some Libra energy. It is all about bringing that back to harmony. And that is what this question is all about, is what is being brought back into harmony right now for us. And the grouping starts with the Star, followed by the Fool, and then the Six of Fire. So let's get these down and let's talk about the Star. So the word for the Star is projection in this tarot deck. And the star illuminates, right? Like our sun is a star. And it is, when we talk about the sun coming forth and showing things, it is an illumination. So being brought back into harmony right now, especially with these other two cards, I keep really getting a strong message of there has been, through 2020 and into 2021, there's a lot of us, and even if you have had a huge amount of success over these last 2 years, it was still transformative. No matter which way you look at it, transformative in an extremely abundant and prosperous way, or transformative in a holy cow, dark night of a soul, 14 times over kind of way. And then anywhere in between those two opposing spectrums, right? No matter what, 2020 into 2021 has changed us, period, dot. This time last year has changed us up to now. So when we talk about what's being brought back into harmony, we could be showing and could be seeing where from this kind of past year where that massive transformation has happened, we may see a little bit of tempering. We may see a little bit more balance. Sometimes, and we talk about them in valleys and peaks in our household, where the goal is not to like have these really, really highs and go into these really, really lows. It's to ride a wave. And that peak and low, what that could be being brought back into harmony right now, where now it's not so dramatic up and down, but you're actually able to catch the wave, ride the wave, and just be in flow. The first card out is the Fool, which talks about that enthusiasm, that brand new journey, this childlike wonder. The Fool is the 0 card of the major arcana. It starts and ends everything, and this is the journey of all new things. So anything you're manifesting, any intentions you're setting, any work that you're doing, the Fool starts that journey. So this could be bringing back into a balance of wanting to start a new journey, right? Going back to Mars, taking that action, wanting to change, wanting to increase your faith, bringing all of the trust and all of the work that we've been doing back into harmony, so that way we feel that support again. We don't feel like maybe we're always out on the mountain's edge about ready to leap off, that we don't continue to have to take a fool's journey for some of us. Now it's time for that journey to actually go through the rest of the major arcana and then actually come to fruition in the 3D. And then with the Six of Fire, This is that stepping into the fire. So for some of us, as we may be balancing now back to this equilibrium of not always being on. For those that have seen the Mabon readings for your signs, there was a lot of signs that have been really worked from Aries season back in April until now. And that kind of balance of, man, I feel like I'm always in the fire. I feel like I'm always transforming. I feel like I'm always doing the work. I mean, is there another, dark night of the soul coming up? Is there another tower moment that I'm going to have to watch out for? Breathe. Go in. Pluto is done with his retrograde. Pluto is done with his 24-degree Capricorn scrub through, and he's moving on. So that's what's coming back into balance is these extremes, the extreme feelings, the extreme ups and downs that we may have been feeling, that can come back into balance right now. And the star is what can really show you and illuminate for you some of those areas. And as we look through, the other parts of this reading, maybe that's where you reflect on. Maybe that's where you pause and reflect on. Maybe that comes in a relationship aspect for some of us. Maybe that comes in our partnerships or in our, how we intend to move forward. So that is what is being brought back into harmony. And now let's go to Pluto. So, love Pluto. Pluto has been working, reworking, working, reworking, scrubbing, denying, transforming, literally annihilating 24 degrees of Capricorn. And that has been a very long process. Okay, it's been a year process, if not a little longer, without having the dates right in front of me. It has been a long process where Capricorn has scrubbed back and forth over this point. Or Capricorn, where Pluto scrubbed back and forth over this point. That's done. Now Pluto will stay here for a little bit. So we've still got a little bit of work to do, but there is a big finality with this new moon in Libra, because on this day is when Pluto stations direct. There's something really, like I'm just getting goosebumps, and if I really dug into it, I could probably start crying at how emotional it is to have that final ending. Pluto's never going to be here again. Not in my lifetime, certainly not in most of our lifetimes. This is it. This is our time to transform whatever we have been going through, to do that final push, to learn that final lesson, to know that we have come out on the other side better for it. To know, again, the messenger of water, to know that everything that Pluto did at that point was out of unconditional love for us. And that is the message of transformation and the guidance that I wanted to leave in this grouping. So this isn't necessarily a detailed question, but more as Pluto creates that finality. What is that final guidance from Pluto? And how can we work through that final transformation piece at that 24 degrees? So the card that came up was the Hanged Man, Eight of Fire, and the Hierophant. Beautiful cards. So lots of Pluto energy here, lots of that Scorpionic energy showing up. The Hanged Man is repentance in this deck. And the Hanged Man is kind of that like snag in our journey where maybe we've gotten a little too hubris. Maybe we've gotten a little egocentric, and the universe needs to take us by a leg and hang us upside down. And we have to repent. We have to understand the lessons that was meant to teach us. We have to understand what that transformation is supposed to be like. We have to take accountability and responsibility for our part in all that has gone on in our life. And then the hangman can be released and turned right side up. And that repentance, when we talk about transformation, shows up through the Eight of Fire and the Hierophant. So let's start with the Eight of Fire. So guidance for this kind of final transformation period. There is a message here of travel. Eight of Fire does signify in this deck some actual physical travel. So maybe that's taking a journey back somewhere to have that moment of clarity, that moment of forgiveness, that moment of acceptance. It could be taking a travel forward somewhere to turn your hangman upside down. You've done that repentance. This is the next leg of that journey. Whatever it is, the Eight of Fire is swift. It is transformative in its own right. Fire is a transformative element, and it's energizing. There's a big part of this card that talks about energy and being and having all of the energy to move forward, which at the end of this month, we have planets going direct. We've got Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, Pluto, all then being direct, and I may be missing one or two. Don't quote me on that, but I know for sure those ones will be direct. Yeah. And so this is all that forward moving energy after we've been in this state of recalibration, this state of transformation. And then we have the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is all about our spiritual practices. So a guidance for this highly transformative, highly, internal repentance, this, maybe how do you repent, or how do you move through this energy? How do you continue that transformation? Continue, yes, Pluto has its finality here, but how do you make those lessons last? How do you continue to go back to those lessons and, bring them into your current state and bring them into what you're currently manifesting and this new being that you've become because of it? And that is through the Hierophant, which is your spiritual practices. Again, we talked through that in one of these other groupings, is going back to self, going back to spirit, going back to your rituals, your habits. Any reading that you've seen of mine over the last couple of moons, this is where it's at, and this is what we're being called for. Another thing that could have been here is maybe this was your 24-degree Capricorn Pluto lesson, was creating these healthy habits for yourself. Especially from a Capricorn sign, right? Maybe it was creating daily routines. Maybe it was finding spiritual practices. Maybe it was a full-blown spiritual awakening. All of those things are right on time. Again, all done with the highest love and the highest unconditional love in mind. Now it's time to continue those, because as you saw, this is swift. Mars, swift, forward direction. We are not slowing down. It is only just beginning. It is only just beginning. So as we quickly move forward through some of these things, as all of these options start to come up, as all of the things start to manifest for you, it is in your grounding of spiritual practice, of your daily habits, your daily routines. It does not matter what that looks like. What it looks like for you and what feels good to you is right for you. So whatever that is for you, it's going back to those to help you balance, to help you bring that equilibrium, and to help you move all of this energy forward so you can manifest at your highest caliber everything that is for you. That has been your full moon reading. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that way you know anytime a new reading is released. If you know somebody that would benefit from this, please make sure to share. All of the information is in the description box below. You'll find links to each of the decks and where to find out more about me and private readings and any classes that I'm offering. Thank you so much for joining me today. Enjoy this beautiful new moon, and I will see you for the full moon in Aries later on this month. And then we do have another Sabbath this month with Samhain. So I will see you then and doing another all signs reading. So thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye.